こんにちは。ジャパニーズポッド101です。
おはよう東京。こんばんはニューヨーク。こんにちはロンドン。
Hi everyone, and welcome back to JapanesePod101.com. This is Lower Beginner Season 2, Lesson 14, Visiting the Japanese Doctor. I'm Becky.
こんにちは、夏子です。
In this lesson, you'll learn how to describe your symptoms to a doctor in Japanese. The conversation takes place at a hospital.
It's between David and a doctor.
The speakers are a doctor and a patient, so they'll be using formal Japanese. Okay, let's listen to the conversation.
どうしましたか？
今朝から頭がとても痛いんです。喉も痛いです。
熱がありますか？
はい、37度5分です。
喉を見ます。口を開けてください。喉が赤いですね。咳が出ますか？
いえ、出ません。鼻水とくしゃみが少し出ます。
食欲は？
ありません。
Listen to the conversation one time slowly.
どうしましたか？
今朝から頭がとても痛いんです。喉も痛いです。
熱がありますか？
はい、37度5分です。
喉を見ます。口を開けてください。喉が赤いですね。咳が出ますか？
いえ、出ません。鼻水とくしゃみが少し出ます。
食欲は？
ありません。
Listen to the conversation with the English translation.
どうしましたか？
What's the matter?
今朝から頭がとても痛いんです。喉も痛いです。
I've had a bad headache since this morning. I've got a sore throat too.
熱がありますか？
Do you have a fever?
はい、37度5分です。
Yes, it's 37.5 degrees.
喉を見ます。口を開けてください。
Let me see your throat. Can you please open your mouth?
喉が赤いですね。咳が出ますか？
Your throat looks red. Do you have a cough?
いえ、出ません。鼻水とくしゃみが少し出ます。
No, I don't have a cough. I have a runny nose and I'm sneezing a little bit.
食欲は？
Do you have an appetite?
ありません。
No, I don't have an appetite.
Becky, have you ever gone to see a doctor in Japan?
Sure, several times. I still remember the first time I saw a doctor. I was so nervous because all the medical terms were new to me.
That's true. But it's commonplace to go see a doctor, especially when you have a cold. Do you have any tips for people who are new to a Japanese hospital, Becky?
Me? I thought you were giving the tips. Well, I think the common mistake most people make is visiting a big hospital first. My advice is, don't go to a big hospital without a letter of reference from a local doctor. You'll have to pay extra if you do.
That's right. If you feel sick, it's best to visit a clinic first, then get a letter of reference from the doctor there if you do need to go to a big hospital.
I think the system is designed to allow big hospitals to focus on patients with more serious conditions.
That's right.
In a Japanese town, you'll often have several clinics near your home, so make sure to visit the right one. My tip for that is just type internal medicine in English on Google Maps, or look for the kanji for internal medicine.
In Japanese, internal medicine is naika. The first kanji nai can also be read 内 and means inside.
Okay, now on to the vocab. Let's take a look at the vocabulary from this lesson. The first word is
今朝
this morning.
今朝 今朝
Next we have
喉
throat.
喉喉
Next we have
開ける
to open.
開ける開ける
Next we have
咳
cough.
咳咳
Next we have
出る
to come out.
出る出る
Next we have
鼻水
mucus, snot, runny nose.
鼻水鼻水
Next we have
くしゃみ
sneeze.
くしゃみくしゃみ
And last
食欲
appetite.
食欲食欲
Let's take a closer look at the usage of some of the words and phrases from this lesson. What do we have for this lesson?
どうしましたか
This means, what's the matter? Or what's wrong? It's a common expression that you'll hear from a Japanese doctor at the beginning of a medical appointment.
That's right. どう means how. しました is the past tense of the verb します meaning to do. And it ends with か the question marking particle. So どうしましたか literally means how did it? You can just remember this as a set phrase meaning what's the matter?
It's not just for use with doctors. You can also use this when you see someone in trouble and want to ask them what's wrong or what happened, like, what's wrong in English. Natsuko, can you give us an example using this word?
Sure. When the doctor asks you どうしましたか
What's wrong?
If you have a fever, you can say 熱があります
I have a fever. Or you can also use other expressions that you're going to learn in the grammar to describe your symptoms. Speaking of which, let's move on to the grammar. In this lesson, you'll learn how to describe your symptoms to a doctor.
Some of the words might be new and difficult, so make sure to check the words and phrases in the lesson notes after you listen to this lesson.
There are some patterns you can use for describing your symptoms. What's the first one?
The first pattern we'll learn is が痛いです We learned this pattern in the previous lesson, so for a review, が is a subject marking particle and 痛いです means to hurt. You can say a part of your body at the beginning to describe something that hurts.
For example, how can we say, I have a headache?
In Japanese, you'd literally say, my head hurts. Head is 頭. So, you can say, 頭が痛いです
I have a headache, or literally, my head hurts. What about throat?
When you get a cold or 風邪 in Japanese, you'll often have a sore throat. Throat in Japanese is 喉. In this case, you can say 喉が痛いです
What if my leg hurts because I have muscle pain?
足 is the word meaning leg or foot. So you can say 足が痛いです
Note that in Japanese, there aren't two separate words for foot and leg. They're both the same word, which is
足
So you have to figure out the meaning from the context when someone uses the word.
Alright, let's jump to the next pattern. When you have 咳
A cough,
or 鼻水
mucus, snot, or a runny nose.
you need to use the phrase が出ます
For example, how can you say, I have a cough?
You can say 咳が出ます 出ます means to come out. So it literally means cough is coming out. 咳が出ます
Let's go on to the next pattern. When you have a fever.
You need to use the phrase があります and say 熱があります
What about if you have a high fever?
That's 高い熱があります。
Okay, now we have the last pattern, which is
んです。We have a good example in the dialogue, so let's use it. 頭がとても痛いんです。
I have a headache.
痛いんです has an extra ん sound between 痛い meaning to hurt and です。Though they are technically different, the meaning of both 痛いんです and 痛いです is actually largely the same.
So what's the difference?
Well, if you simply say 痛いです it sounds like you're just stating a fact. But by adding んです you can make it sound like you're explaining the symptom and aren't just giving a fact.
So with a doctor, it might be better to add the extra sound, right?
If you want to make it sound like you're explaining something about yourself, not just stating a fact, yes. But don't worry about it too much if you are not familiar with the phrases yet.
What's one of the best ways to stay motivated while learning Japanese?
It's watching your progress grow and knowing how much you've learned.
Did you know that you could do that at JapanesePod101.com? You can track your Japanese progress with the dashboard.
So when you complete this lesson, mark it as finished.
You'll see the checkbox above the lesson player on the lesson page.
Click on the Mark Lesson Complete checkbox and watch your progress grow at JapanesePod101.com. Okay, that's all for this lesson. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
またね。どうしましたか？
今朝から頭がとても痛いんです。喉も痛いです。
熱がありますか？
はい、37度5分です。
喉を見ます。口を開けてください。喉が赤いですね。咳が出ますか？
いえ、出ません。鼻水とくしゃみが少し出ます。
食欲は？
ありません。